All you got to do is after we dodge, we're going to use our normal attack. And as you will see, we're creating charges. We already have 5 here, 7, boom, just like that. What is up, everyone? Guys, listen up. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at my new favorite build in the game, and that is the Flicker Strike Monk build. And I put this build together so that you're going to have literally infinite power charges, and you're not going to have to worry about them at all. Even if you're fighting a boss, you're clearing, there's going to be a few different sources of power charges for us, which is going to make this build very, very comfortable. Before we move on, huge shout out to Snoo, who is the one that found one of the texts that we're going to be using. To be more precise, he and his community found this. Now, don't get me wrong. If you don't want to use this functionality of the power chargers, our build is still going to be working. However, we are going to be implementing this into our build. There's definitely a few changes that I made with the abilities and the support gems to make it work better for our specific build. So yeah, don't forget to show some love to this man. I'm going to drop the link to his channel in the description. We are going to be able to create charges on our own. So for example, with our normal attack, which is the one that you see right here, all you got to do is after we dodge, we're going to use our normal attack. And as you will see, we're creating charges. We already have 5 here, 7, boom, just like that. Then we can pop the charge staff, and then we can do that again. And you're going to be literally just creating charges all the time. As you see, we have 7 for both ready to go. And you can do this during a boss fight when you're clearing. Now, let's break this down and how this is happening. We're going to take a look at the gems. However, this is not the only way we're going to be getting our power charges. On the quarterstaff strike, we're going to have martial tempo, practice combo. Then we have super critical. And on top of that, we have Minion Pact. Now, Minion Pact is what makes this possible. We create this clone while we're dodging. And since we have Minion Pact on it, it says supported skills remove 100% of your maximum life from a nearby minion unused to deal 40% more damage. So you pretty much also deal more damage as well, which is really cool. But the main thing is it counts your clone as a minion. So every time you do your animation, your skill, your hit, it, kills them and it gives you the charges. By the way, even if you're just dodging and the enemies are hitting the clones, you will be getting power charges as well. And you're also going to need chaos inoculation for this to work. But first, let's take a look at the gemstones, and then we're going to break down the passive skill tree separately as well. So yeah, do not forget to equip Minion Pact. This is what makes it really work. And we're going to have this on the quarterstaff instead of other skills. Now let's move on to Flicker Strike, which is going to be our main damaging ability. For the Flicker Strike, we have the quality up at 20%. So that is one of the first things you want to do because it adds 20% chance to not remove charges on use. Huge difference when it comes to gameplay, and you will feel that right away as you do upgrade Flicker Strike. Now for the support gems, Perpetual Charge, we have Momentum, then we have Conduction, Concentrated Effect, and Ambush. Now let's move down to Tempest Bell. This is going to be our source of single target damage if you're struggling against a rare enemy, especially great against bosses, obviously. To be honest, with rares, you're not going to have an issue anyway. So we're going to be using Magnified Effect, Hourglass, then Overpower, and finally Font of Rage as well. We're probably going to be adding another slot soon, and I'll figure out what I'm going to be adding as a support gem. As I said, I'll keep you guys updated on that. For the Wind Dancer, we have Wind Wave, Lockdown, and Pin. I'm not 100% sure this is going to be our final ones on a Wind Dancer. We're probably going to move 1 or 2 support gems around, but once again, that will come down to testing. This will take your spirit, so keep in mind. And also, mine right now is a low gem. You should definitely run this at a way higher gem. I always forget to do that, but anyway, yeah, that is the point. Try to get a higher gem for this as well. Then we have Reaper's Invocation, and this is going to be how we're going to have the second source of our power charges, and this is going to happen mid-combat, and it makes Flicker Strike feel so good, right? So pretty much the usual, we're going to run Profane Ritual in combination with Profusion and then Impetus. Now, what happens here is the second you click on your Flicker Strike, I want you guys to click on Reaper's Invocation as well and literally just keep your finger on the button. And what happens is as you're killing your enemies, they create corpses and you're simultaneously activating Reaper's Invocation, which then takes those corpses as you're still fighting and flickering around the map and turns them into power charges and sends them to you. So by the time you're done with your Flicker Strike attack, you already have more charges. We're going to showcase all of that. You probably already see a video on your screen. But yeah, that's how it works. And it makes the Flicker Strike so much more consistent. For the charge staff, we have Overcharge, then Lightning Infusion, Considered Casting, and inevitable critical for this one as well. Now, this is where it gets interesting with the heralds, because we are going to be using two heralds. It's going to be Herald of Thunder and Herald of Ice that are going to be kind of cross-procking each other. And shout out to Thick Fillet. We were brainstorming some monk ideas. We were testing a lot of stuff, and he was like, you should try this. I'm also running these two together. So we tried it out, and it really worked very well with the Flicker Strike. So on the Herald of Thunder, it's going to be Ice Bite, Shock Siphon, Lightning Exposure, and Lightning Mastery. Now on Herald of Ice, we're going to have Innervate, then Cold Mastery, and Cold Exposure. We also have Grim Fist, but I will probably be removing this. I'm still thinking about that one because we do have Meditate, right? And I'm kind of testing Meditate at the moment. It feels really good. When I do update this build, I'll let you guys know which one I end up sticking with at the end of the day. And then finally, we have Lingering Illusion. This is how we get our power charges after our dodge with the clone. Now, the thing is, you need to use persistence on the Lingering Illusion. The reason for that is we're not stacking attack speed, so our animations aren't as fast. And in order to be able to hit the illusion with your skill, you need it to be up for a little bit longer, right? If you don't do this, you pretty much are not going to make this work with this specific build. So if I take this off and then I try to dodge, let me get rid of these, right? Dodge. You see that it's not fast enough to get the job done, right? So you are going to need persistence on this, and that's how you are going to be making this work, since once again, we're not stacking attack speed with this build. Now let's take a look at the passive skill tree, because this is also where it gets really fun. We are going to start off with the Ascension. Currently, I'm using Meditate, then I am the Blizzard, and I am the Thunder. Now, the reason we're using both of these is that they are very strong in combination with Essence of the Storm and Essence of the Mountain. All of these things that we just went over here is how we make the Herald skills work. They are kind of cross-procking each other, and in general, this is just free damage across the board, no matter how you look at it. So yeah, after testing a lot of different setups, this worked really well with Flicker Strike as well. Now, when it comes to the other skill points, as you guys can see, we're just making our way with increased critical damage bonus and so on, all the way to flow like water. When you take a look at my shield, currently it's only 2,500. However, the goal is to get this to around 4,000, at least 3,500. That is going to be possible as I level up. Now, this is the overall skill tree at the moment, right? So we have crit chance here. A lot of crit chance, more crit chance and crit damage over here as well. If you take a look at my Flicker Strike, you will see that we are at 49%, almost 49% crit chance, which is pretty good for Flicker Strike, right? And we also have the crit support gem on it. And every time it goes from enemy to enemy really fast, it utilizes that 100% increased crit chance on enemies that have full life, which is cool for that initial hit as well. Obviously, we picked up the power charge nodes. One more thing you need to know is that you have to go for Siphon here, because this will give you the ability to not worry about mana at all. If you don't do this, this is going to be a problem, okay? Because you will be running out of mana. It's going to be very, very annoying. So you want to have that no matter what. In order to make this all work, you are going to need Chaos Inoculation, which means that you're going to be playing at 1 HP. And this is precisely what makes it possible for us to get our power charges after our roll. So that is something that you need to keep in mind. On top of that, obviously, we are going to be immune to chaos damage, which is pretty nice, right? At the end of the day, not taking any damage from that is pretty cool. And of course, we're also using Meditation, which doubles our shield, currently at around 5,000 shield. But at the end game, as mentioned, you want to be at around 7,000 to 8,000. The higher, the better. Now, the reason we went over here is for two reasons. This is something that I'm looking into right now, but it is also dependent on gear. So as I get better gear, which we will take a look at here in a minute, and get more dexterity and intellect on our gear, we are probably going to try to move away from this and spend more time around this area, probably pick up this shield node here and whatnot. But currently we moved this way because it was on the way after Chaos Inoculation, and I also had a jewel slot here. And jewels is something that I really want to talk about because it makes such a big difference when it comes to any build, but especially this one, because I was really short on dexterity, and it also has 20% increased maximum energy shield, 14% increased critical damage bonus, 19% increased energy shield recharge rate. This is a great jewel for my build specifically. This is extra dexterity as well, increased melee damage. And the reason, once again, I'm going for dex here because I didn't have enough, since we're trying to use a lot of different skills. So for example, if you take a look at the Profane Ritual, it needs 160 for intellect, right? If you take a look at a Herald of Thunder, it needs 178 dex. So you have to kind of balance it out as much as possible to be able to use all of these things at the same time to make Flicker Strike feel really good. I'm trying to balance them as much as possible. We have dex at 180 and intelligence at 196. When it comes to our resistances, we're capped out. We have chaos at 12%, but we really don't need this because we have chaos inoculation anyway. On this side, we're picking up all of these nodes. One thing you want to know is as I level up, I am going to pick up most likely these nodes as well. This is 50% increased freeze buildup and 30% increased defenses as I'm using a staff, which could be really nice. However, if I feel like that's not needed, instead of that, we might go for this increase right here of shield, which is a huge increase, a total of 70% increase. So you want to stack into some survivability. At the end of the day, the goal is to have around 3.5k base shield, and then when you double it, you're going to be sitting at around 7,000 or higher. Obviously is better. That's also going to depend on your gear. If you can manage that, you're kind of golden. That's going to help you out a lot. We're also going for struck through. Attacks have plus 1% to critical hit chance. This is actually very good for your overall crit chance. And then we also have Coming Calamity and the smaller nodes over here. Now let's start the gear breakdown with the weapon because this is very important. For your main stat, your elemental damage is going to be more useful for you than physical damage for our build. Then we have 36% critical damage bonus. And I got lucky with the third slot on the weapon. I valid it and it worked out. That 36% increase to critical damage bonus is huge for this build. When it comes to the stats on the weapon, you're looking for crit damage first and crit chance as well. Those two things are going to be very valuable because you want to crit as much as possible with your Flicker Strike, right? Especially if it's a boss or not, you drop the bell, you're Flicker Striking, you want those crits to go crazy. Now, when it comes to elemental damage, you can focus on that after the critical damage and the critical chance. So crit damage, crit chance, elemental damage, and obviously +2 level of all melee skills is very, very nice. However, let's say you see a staff that has 5% crit chance or 6% or whatever is the max roll, and it has, let's say, 4 level to all melee skills, but the other staff has 6 level to all melee skills, but 1% crit chance. I would actually go with the one that has, you're better off sacrificing a few level to melee skills and getting that base crit chance increase, which will just take your crit chance overall to the next level. And instead of like being around 49%, which I'm at right now, if I had a staff with, let's say, 5% crit chance on it, I would probably be sitting at around like 60 or 60 plus, right? Like that's the kind of difference it makes because it's base crit chance on the weapon. Now, I'm also going to be dropping a more in-depth video about the stats and breaking everything down for the monk, how to make it work and so on. So stay tuned for that. But in this one, we just want to go over the build here real quick. For the gear, as you guys already saw, our resistances are capped out. Let me move this for you guys. Everything's kept out. We're doing great, so we're not worried about that. You just got to math it out on your gear. Make sure that it's capped out. It really does make a difference at the end game. Even though we have pretty high evasion, it really helps to have those resistances no matter what. So on the gloves, as you guys can see here, we're going for evasion and energy shield and lightning damage to attacks. Right? This makes a difference when it comes to your overall damage, obviously. The same goes for the rings. We're always going for lightning damage to attacks, increased lightning damage, a little bit of rarity here and there. If you can get it around to 100%, that would be great. On the boots, we have movement speed. Once again, increased evasion and energy shield. The base evasion and the base energy shield, the higher the better. All of these items are qualityed. They're not the best items, by the way, but they work for now, and I can easily clear 16, 17s or whatever I'm doing at endgame. It's very, very strong. For the amulet, we have increased rarity of items found, and on top of that, increased evasion rating, plus 60 to maximum energy shield, and then once again, increased maximum energy shield. When it comes to the helmet, it's the same story. We're going for shield, we're going for evasion, we're going for resistances. That's about it. That's all you need to know about the gear. Here is the belt as well. You can pause this and take a closer look. But essentially, as soon as you cap out those resistances, you want to focus on the lightning damage. Now, I'm just going to show you guys how I start off maps. This is a tier 15. We're going to get our charges here by dodging, creating the illusion, and then hitting it. We're going to turn that into charge staff. We're going to do the same. I only do this at the beginning, obviously. You don't have to necessarily do this way. You can do it mid-battle as well. But remember, we have Reaper's Invocation. So as I start Flicker Striking, I'm going to keep my hand on Reaper's Invocation, and you will see that the power charges will increase because of the enemies we kill, and then the corpses are going to turn into power charges, right? So we're going to Flicker here. Boom, everything's dead. As you guys can see, we're getting our charges. We still have 7. Now we're going to do the same. Boom, they're dead. We got our charges. This time, not that many because our Reaper's Invocation wasn't charged yet. But now we can get our charges by dodging and hitting. I'm going to transfer this to Charge Staff, right? Then I'm going to keep moving. Right away, we have 7. I'm going to try to group these guys up. Then, I think we're ready here. I'm going to Flicker Strike. Boom, right? And now, watch. There's more energy coming in. We have 7 again. They're dead. We're going to have more charges. We can obviously try to get more. We have 5 at the moment. Boom. And right now, we're trying to do this slow so you guys understand everything and see how it works. I'm going to show you guys the actual gameplay of how crazy the Flicker can be when you're doing like breaches and whatnot. And honestly, guys, this is one of the most fun builds I've played. Like, I can't get enough of this build. Right? It just doesn't get boring. It's very strong on high tiers as well. And it just works. The fact that you can have power charges from different sources and you don't have to worry about it is phenomenal, right? It makes it really enjoyable to play. Boom, 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 boom. Just look at that. Just look at that. Like, how can you not enjoy that? You know what I mean? It's a phenomenal setup that is really fun. And the fact that you can play like really end game content with this is what makes it so cool. I'm going to try to gather them up really quick here, as many as possible, dodge around. Remember, just from dodging enemies, we also get our stuff. When it comes to boss fights, this is what you want to do. You want to make sure that your shield is up, or should I say doubled, with Meditate. After that, if you don't have your charges, right now you guys see that I don't have them, for example, right? So what you're going to do is roll, get your charges up, just like this. Boom. We're going to pop our Charge Staff. Then you're going to do the same for your power charges, obviously, right? You're going to get 7 of them. And once you go to the boss, the first thing you're going to focus on to charge up your Tempest Bell. And then you just drop the bell on the boss and destroy him with Flicker Strike, and you're good to go. Now that you guys understand the rotation and everything, I'm going to leave you guys with some clips, and that way you guys can see just how good this overall setup can be. But once again, the energy's coming in. We have 7 again. We can Flicker, boom, boom, boom. It's just my favorite build in the game, bro. There's no doubt about it. I'm just gonna try to perfect it more and more and just make it as strong as possible. And every time I update it, I'm gonna keep you guys updated as well, okay? Okay, now enjoy the gameplay, and I'll see you guys on the next one.